Hello and welcome to the Fish Out of Water podcast. You're here with me, Matt, Isaac, and Alex. And today we're going to be breaking down the NFL free agency period. I do want to start off by asking Alex, since he wasn't here last week, tell me what I want to hear about this guy right here.
Yeah, I mean, like, everyone knows, like, the Broncos got the W in trade. If you don't know that, like, you don't know football. But, like, this really, like, obviously make Broncos instant contenders. I think everyone knows that. But, like, I want to flame the Seahawks more than anything because they really don't know what they're doing. Like, both of y'all probably gave the Broncos their flowers. I'm here to flame the Seahawks. So you get 2 firsts, 2 seconds, Noah Fant, Shelby. You got Shelby Harris and another. I think who else? Someone else, right? Drew Lock. Fucking Drew Lock. So like, essentially, like, why would you give away a franchise quarterback first? Like, essentially, those pieces. Like, I get it. Noah Fant, great young piece. Or any of those 3 players, game-changing NFL players. No, they don't change your roster, your team, or like an outcome on a given Sunday. They just don't. With the draft picks, the Seahawks for the past 5 years have been the worst team at drafting first-round picks. They've missed on like the last 5 first-round picks. So then they use their past two first-round picks to trade to Jamal Adams, who they're about to have to give an extension to, which is dumb. So essentially, what they're trading away their franchise quarterback to get back their first-round picks that they traded for Jamal Adams, who has less career picks than TJ Watt, who's an edge rusher. Like, the Seahawks, like, come on. Like, I don't understand what they're doing at all. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, they just continue to miss with first-round picks. They're going to draft another Rashad Penny in the first round. Like, come on. Like,
that was their – ironically, Rashad Penny, I'm looking at it, was like their best first-round draft.
Yeah, because they continuously to miss on first-round picks. And I'm sorry to say this, but, like, the move for the Seahawks should have been to fire Pete Carroll, if we're being honest. The style of football he wants to run is just outdated. It's a quarterback's league. You got to let Russell Wilson rip it. Like, you can't have this, we play conservative, defense wins us games, even though we have a top 5 bottom defense, and you still want to rely on the defense. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I do not know what direction the Seahawks are going. I mean, congrats. You get your first-round picks that you get back from trading for Jamal Adams. Like it's a total disaster for the Seahawks. Like, shout out to Metcalf and Lockett though. Drew Lock at the helm next year. Come on, bro.
Oh, don't get me started on Drew Lock.
You wrapped up basically everything. Seahawks suck now. As a Rams fan, super happy. Absolute robbery, and I can tell you firsthand that first-round picks are less valuable than what the market says. Getting a QB like Russell Wilson, still in his prime, that's an absolute steal. The Broncos, I wouldn't say they gave up nothing, but relative to how hard it is to get a franchise quarterback, it was nothing. Alex said it best. Those 3 pieces, none of them are like game-changing. No offense, a nice piece to have, but hey, man, if you get a guy like Russell on your team for that, I'd do that 10 times out of 10. All day, every day, any day of the week, all day, whatever.
Man, could Sunday not come fast enough? Like, just football season in general, I cannot wait. This AFC West is going to be an absolute bloodbath. I'm so happy to see where my Broncos go. So with that, let's talk about some of these AFC West teams. 2 in particular who made big moves would be the Broncos and the Chargers. So what were your thoughts on their free agency?
I mean, it's a big W for both teams. I mean, to say who's better right now, I personally would give a slight edge to the Broncos. But the Chargers did make some moves I like, even though they did have to overpay. Like, I'm suspect on paying J.C. Jackson.
Yeah, for sure.
All that sum of money, leaving the Patriots. Corners who leave Bill Belichick tend to fall significantly. Like, they tend to, like, regress a lot. It's an overpay, but you got to do it. I mean, Herbert's on a rookie contract. You have to go all in.
Exactly.
Even with the Mack trade, that's a lot of money for an aging pass rusher. You still got to do it. Even, like, Mike Williams, a bit of an overpay, I guess. Not compared to Christian Kirk overpay, but it's still an overpay. But like, overall, I like the moves for the Chargers. I think I like the moves by the Broncos a bit more. But both teams are instant Super Bowl contenders. Like that's not even a question.
Yeah. I mean, you can argue that the Chargers were a contender last year, honestly. I mean,
To a degree.
like you're telling me if they got in instead of the Raiders, they could have, beat the Bengals,
No.
then the Titans.
No.
They beat the Bengals like a couple weeks ago before. What do you mean?
Were contenders weird though? Like, did you call like the Bengals a contender last year? Like,
No.
not really,
Sure, but I mean, if you see who they play, if it was them instead of the Raiders, it was like the Bengals and the Titans, then they'd have to upset the Chiefs. But you're telling me it's not like possible,
Yeah, it's possible, but I wouldn't say a contender last year. Now they're like legit contenders. Like,
Yeah, and like
I'm still
I wanted
upset.
to like emphasize one thing real quick. Like they clearly overpaid for JC Jackson. I do think I have questions about him, honestly. I do think he's the number one corner in this league, but I think he's slightly overrated. And it's a risk considering that every single corner does fail after they leave the Belichick system. But I think it's a risk worth taking. Herbert's on his rookie contract, which really matters, and paying for a receiver like Mike Williams and getting a pass rusher like Khalil Mack, just phenomenal moves by the Chargers. This just makes the AFC West even crazier than it already is, which I can't believe I'm saying, but yeah, exceptional by the Chargers, honestly.
Great. Since we're on the Chargers train, I do think all signings were reaches, but they were reaches that had to be made. You guys said it perfectly. Herbert's on a rookie deal. With that, you have to execute. You have a window. This was a big free agency. There were a lot of free agents on the move. I'm sus about J.C. Jackson. I'm extremely sus about Khalil Mack. Mike Williams, overpay. But again, you had to do it. But I will say, there's nothing you can tell me to change my mind. The Chargers will always be the Chargers. Over-talented team who underachieves every single year, every single time. You and a bunch of these other random Chargers people are coming out and saying, oh, Chargers Super Bowl next year, Chargers Super Bowl. What did I tell you? I said they're not making the playoffs because they're the Chargers.
Well, they almost did. I mean, dude, they got outplayed by.
Hey, there's a big difference from Super Bowl and missing the playoffs, but it was tight. But that Raiders team's still there anyways. But the Chargers made big moves.
Don't tell me the Raiders are serious contenders, bro.
They are 100% a playoff team. The Chargers are 100% a playoff team. I'm not sure if they will make it because I think their schedule is ridiculous because the AFC West next year is playing the NFC West. So not only are you playing your division twice, but you also have to go through the Rams, the Niners, well, not so much Seahawks anymore, and the Cardinals. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they missed the playoffs, but they are contenders now.
I kind of disagree with that, with the Chargers being the Chargers, because it's a new era. It's the Justin Herbert era. Like I think
but last year reminded me a lot of Phillip Rivers, man. Like not comparing Herbert to Phillip Rivers.
Okay.
I mean, the teams, they're always over talented.
Matt, but like Rivers would every game would always like make a play that would lose you the game. You'd always have that feeling Rivers is gonna cost us a game. You don't get that.
Always did too. I also don't trust Staley, but that's just me.
Matt, you don't really get that with Herbert. It was just all Brandon Staley, who like screwed up late in games last year. It wasn't Herbert. Like even when like with the Rivers day, it was like Rivers would always be a part of like stuff that would lose you games. Like it would be like a Melvin Gordon game-losing fumble or something like Rivers throwing a bad pick. But like I don't really, if like Brandon Staley can like hopefully learn from his mistakes this year, I think the Chargers will be fine. I'd lock them in for the playoffs. I mean, they really, even though they're overpaced and we have questions about some of these dudes, they're really shaping out this defense because now they don't have to use their first round pick on a corner. They can now shore up they can drive a nose tackle like Jordan Davis and stop their issues with run defense because that's their main issue, especially last year. They were one of the 5 worst like run defense teams in the league, so they can shore that up in the draft now. Khalil Mack, although he might not be who he once was, still elite against the run, still a threat as a pass rusher. The question I have is that's a lot of money for a 31-year-old coming off injury, but it's worth the risk, especially now.
Absolutely.
He's gonna be the second pass rusher. Like
Look,
Joey Bosa, he's not like they're not going to be focused on him like where like in Chicago. So overall, great moves by the Chargers. Like
look, I'm with
even
you.
though it's overpaid.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm with you, but I just don't. One, Staley. I don't understand. This guy like does not get as much hate as he should. He made some critical flaws in those games. But if you're asking me to comment on Herbert, I really can't, because in that Raiders game, that was one of the most amazing performances. But for me, the Chargers are one of those teams that they always lay these duds that always just has me scratching my head. And I can't understand it. I remember the Broncos game last year. I went to it. And like for no reason whatsoever, like Denver worked the Chargers. Like it was embarrassing. And like I know it happens in the NFL, but it just happens a little too much for me. So for me, I have trust issues with the Chargers. But I'm with you. This roster is phenomenal, and they can absolutely make a run next year.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, with that, let's move to the other AFC team, the Broncos. They made a couple big additions. They shored up their D-line with signing Randy Gregory to a 5-year, $75 million, and they also signed DJ Jones for a 3-year, $30 million from the Niners. And I believe they also made some other moves. But what were your thoughts on their free agency?
I mean, regards to Randy Gregory, I mean Jones is. I think it's a solid signing. Like it's not low risk.
It's
you
like the
kind of know.
Shelby Harris replacement almost.
Yeah. It's low risk. It's fine. Randy Gregory, I'm kind of suspect. Not because he can't play, because last year was his only real season of production.
Mhm.
He's always had
Suspension
off-the-field issues that has costed him like time off the field. And to give him a 5-year contract, that's kind of suspect to me. Like in terms of longevity, as a talent, sure. He's probably a $12 million a year. Yeah, what he can do on the field seems somewhat reasonable, but that's a lot of money for a guy that's only really had 1 year of like clean everything. I just, in terms of long term, questionable, but for next year, it's probably good.
Yeah, I mean, if the Broncos didn't want to get Vaughn back, just shore up that pass rush. Honestly, I didn't know who DJ Jones was, but getting a guy like Randy Gregory, it's risky, but I think it's worth the risk. You got to go all in at this point. Yeah, I think it was going to move for the Broncos. Overall, they just had a great free agency.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Randy Gregory signing was great, considering that he was in the room with the Cowboys about to sign the deal and walked out. But there is a risk because he's been suspended all the way from 2015 to 2019 on and off again. But I guess I was reading that what Denver saw was that last year he held a leadership role in the locker room, and a lot of guys looked up to him. So because of that, the Cowboys were willing to go all in on him just because of what they saw that year. And I believe Denver matched that deal and was able to poach him. So I think it's a great move. They need to go all in, but I'd be a fool not to be worried just because of his past.
I will say this though. I was surprised because, like, obviously that Von Miller talk was pretty big, right? I really thought the move that the Broncos were going to make was to sign Chandler Jones because he played under Vance Joseph with the Cardinals, and he ran that same 3-4 that the Broncos have been running for a while. So I thought Chandler Jones would have been the better move, especially you could just throw a large amount of money for like 1 or 2 years, less risk, and I think you'd get the same reward.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. I think the rumor had it Denver was going for Vaughn and Wagner, but I guess Denver was really confident in their linebacking core because they do have some young talent. Baron Browning was great last year. They have Kenny Young. They still have Bradley Chubb. So I guess I see why Denver didn't want to go for a linebacker. But Chandler Jones would have been interesting. It honestly never crossed my mind. But, I mean, do you know did he sign yet?
I don't think he did.
No, he's still – no. No, but like I'm talking, but either way, Randy Gregory's going to play the same position as what Chandler Jones is, which is edge. Bobby Wagner and Brown, they all play on the inside. So that's why I say, like, I thought Chandler Jones would have been moved because, you just need another guy off the edge on the opposite end of Chubb.
I'm with you there, but I just don't think Denver wanted a linebacker. I think they wanted to let their young guys go. So they spent money on a nose tackle and a defensive tackle. But
yeah.
I wanted the name, having like a Von Wagner or Chandler Jones signing would have been amazing. But I guess Denver just wasn't looking for linebackers. But I mean, they could still make a move. I think their salary cap just hit flatline. So
yeah, gotta be Bobby Wagner, huh?
What was that?
Gotta be Bobby Wagner.
Dude, that'd be amazing. I know Russell's recruiting him pretty hard.
Yeah.
Anyways, with that, let's move on. After covering the Chargers, we can move on and look at Amari Cooper, who was a really interesting situation. I think there's some question marks for the Cowboys, so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah. Wow. You're telling me you can get a number one receiver for was it a 6th and 7th round pick? Like, I get that, he's one of the highest paid players in the league, but damn, receiver is probably a top, 4 position. I don't know what the Cowboys were thinking, especially because they re-signed Gallup after, which, don't get it twisted, Gallup is a great number 2, an amazing number 3, but if they were looking to save money, I don't know why you cut or get rid of Amari Cooper for nothing, and if you were going to trade him, a 5th and 6th or 6th and 7th is all you can get for him. I'm just a little confused here, honestly.
I kind of disagree. I think it was a good move by the Cowboys, actually, by letting Cooper go. They saved over $60 million, save over a lot of money, like $60 million in 3 years. Like, that's a lot of money they're saving. And
Sure,
I think CD and Gallup is good enough. I still think that's a top 16 receiving duo in the league.
Sure, but in terms of value, they got robbed completely.
No, they didn't. The Browns have to take on that massive Amari Cooper contract.
In terms of skill set, you're
20 a year
so
for
much
Amari
more
Cooper?
for 6. He's a number 1 receiver though. Number 1 receiver should get paid about $20 million.
No, not for the next 3 years. No shot. The 5th and 6th seems 5th and 6th, dude. 5th and 6th seems around what I'd pay for Amari Cooper. They're about to cut him. If fact that they got something in return is pretty good. I don't think it's that bad of a move by the Cowboys.
I don't know. I would have tried to get something more for that.
Yeah, I mean, if you have
they gave up a first for him, or was it 2 firsts?
He was on his rookie deal then, so you're getting Amari Cooper for a 1 who's making on his rookie salary. Of course, you're going to get a 1.
I get that, but a 6th and 7th rounder is still an underpay for Amari Cooper.
It's really not.
What you're saying about the money?
It's not. It's basically worth nothing. 6th and 7th.
Dude, it's more than what you're gonna do. It's really not. That's what you're gonna get when you have to take on that big of a contract. Receiver is a premium position in the league, but there's also an excessive amount of receiver talent. I'd much rather I'd much rather pay Gallup 12 than Cooper 20 million.
Sure, but it doesn't that doesn't mean that they didn't get robbed. It's a clear underpay. 6 and
no,
7
it's not.
For a number 1 pick, our number 1 receiver is a clear underpay.
It's not, because they couldn't get anything else for him. It's either 5th or 6th or he gets cut. No other team would take that contract.
Well, if the Cowboys weren't being dumb and they gave themselves more leverage by not saying they were about to cut Amari Cooper, they probably could have gone more for him.
I think max he gets a 4th. You gotta realize Antonio Brown went for a 3rd.
Yeah, but that's with Antonio Brown being a complete dingus. Amari Cooper does not have the same. He does not have the same amount of locker room issues. At that point, wasn't it a question if Antonio Brown was even going to play because of all the cases going on at that time?
You called him a dingus. That's great.
Okay, but I get what you're saying, but I'm just saying receivers making that much money, you're not going to get you're really not going to get that much value for him. Like if it was like if you
Wait,
said like
on top of that, like
receivers is hard to
Dak,
trade for, bro.
sure, Dak Prescott without Amari Cooper is a different quarterback. On top of that, he's
Yeah.
off. I mean, like I think we all know he's overrated, but when you take away Amari Cooper away from him, it's not going to help him. It's not going to help his case, you know.
The thing is, Dak wasn't good before Amari Cooper, but when Amari Cooper got there, Dak
He looks better. I wouldn't say he is better.
played and looked like an NFL quarterback. My only concern is I don't know if that's an issue, but can CD take that role? Because when you have Amari Cooper on the field, like the coverage you're getting is different. But now it's going to be much more CD focused.
I agree.
I believe in CD and that he can do that, but he's going to need to get the same separation that like Amari Cooper was able to get, because that's really what Dak looks for. Because I don't want to say Dak's inaccurate, but he's not as accurate as other quarterbacks. So, I mean, I think a lot of pressures on CD. I think Jerry Jones and the Cowboys are putting that pressure on CD. They're expecting him to perform. So it's really going to come down to that, because Dak is a good enough quarterback in this league, but he needs those pieces around him. He can't do it alone.
100%.
Yeah.
And like, you know, this wasn't one of the best. I mean, I guess statistically it was technically one of the best offenses in the league last year, but a lot of it was due to how weak the NFC East was last year. But like when they play competent teams, the offense was mid. Like it was an average offense with these three elite.
Okay, Gallup tore his ACL early in the year, and CD got hurt, and Amari Cooper got hurt. Like they never all three played together.
Okay, sure, but even before,
But that happens in the NFL. Like you just got to account for that.
even like the year before, they didn't even make the playoffs. You know, I'm just concerned that the Cowboys they're taking a step back. They're losing Amari Cooper for nothing. They were the ones that gave him the extension in the first place.
I do think the Randy Gregory walkaway was kind of a disappointment, and I think it's going to look bad on the Cowboys for sure, especially in this free agency period, because that usually doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a little interested on where the Cowboys are going, but I want to segue into the next thing, and personally, my favorite segment of this show. We need to talk about a team from Ohio, the Steel City. Terrible towels.
Fan Ohio.
They're not from Ohio, my guy.
Bro, how would you go to college, dude?
Oh,
Ohio.
That's tough.
Pennsylvania, bro.
Bro. Let's just keep going. I need to hear this. I need to hear this. This city of like pride, defense, Mike Tomlin, and you made your big signing. Let me tell us about
Big
it.
Ben just retired. Who's the next face of the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Look, you might be surprised. I'm actually not too mad about this. And
by the way, everyone, we are talking about Mr. Mitchell MVP Trubisky. You're right. You heard it first. You heard it right. Mitchell Trubisky, Mr. MVP, 2-year deal for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
It's not that bad. Here's why. I'll tell you this why. Number one, we can start rebuilding a roster, because this is not a Super Bowl roster. So, like, when people say we should trade for Watson and Russell Wilson, it's not a Super Bowl roster right now. We got to rebuild this roster. So that's why it's like when we want to trade for these, we can't trade lots of first-round picks because we need to rebuild the roster. The O-line still gets rebuilt. The defense is getting old. We need to rebuild that. Number two, why I kind of like this move is because we're not going to draft these mid quarterbacks in this year's draft. Mitchell Trubisky means we're not going to draft a quarterback this year. We're hopefully maybe draft a quarterback next year, and he could sit under Trubisky that next year. And we all know next year's draft is absolutely loaded at quarterback. There could be like as much as like 5 quarterbacks going like in the top 15, and there's like 2 like elite prospects in Bryce Young and CJ Stroud. So I kind of like the move because the Steelers are probably going to suck next year. We're going to get a good draft pick and hopefully get one of the top quarterbacks in the draft next year. So I honestly really don't mind it. I would have preferred probably like Garoppolo or like Jameis Winston a little bit more, but it could have been a lot worse. Like us reaching and trading up for like one of these mid quarterbacks in this year's draft. So I actually don't mind it, especially 2 years, low risk. It's like it's not the end of the world. Like his base is 14 million. He can make upwards to 29 with incentives. Most likely he's not reaching those incentives.
Yeah. No, like I was trolling, but yeah, I think this is the right move for the Steelers. People tend to think, oh, all the Steelers need is a QB and they're a Super Bowl contender. And that is far from the truth. They are really behind in terms of roster construction. And I think this is the right move for them. They just get a bridge quarterback, tank the season, just be ready for next season or the next year's draft. Honestly, yeah, I could have said better, to be honest.
I see what you guys are saying, but I'm still sus of the move. I think the Steelers are a lot better team than we give them credit for. And I'm concerned because in 2 years from now, you're basically in a position where you have to draft a quarterback. So if you want to do that, I get it. But money-wise, I don't see it working just because you're going to have a lot of players you're going to have to pay within the next couple of years. You have a young receiving core. You're going to have to pay them. A lot of your defensive pieces are getting a little bit older. So I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, so it's a 2-year pushover. But you're basically – the only way this works is you hit your draft pick next year. So I almost feel like you're postponing a problem. Whereas, like, if you would have signed Jimmy G, I would have given you a legitimate shot to at least make a run for a couple of years. Because I think Jimmy G with this roster and Mike Tomlin could do something special. So I am not all glitz and glamour about this. I think it puts a lot of pressure on next year's draft.
Well, the thing is,
Something special with Jimmy G.
Yeah, and also like
Jimmy G's a great man manager. Like I honestly think with Mike Tomlin,
well, there's nothing to manage. Like they don't have a
way
great
worse
run
than the
game.
Niners roster.
They don't have a great defense.
No, the defense played pretty well last year.
It's good. It's top 10.
It's a good defense.
It's not great.
And I do think the receiving core is overrated. But if your O-line improves, let's say you draft a bunch of O-linemen, and Najee can like just become a better player. I mean, they definitely can improve.
Yeah.
Okay, but here's why I disagree with your point, because either way, we're not going to beat none of these other AFC teams with elite quarterbacks with Jimmy G either way. So I would much rather draft a quarterback next year and sort of start rebuilding, retooling this roster. We can build around this quarterback on a rookie contract, So I honestly much prefer that than just going for it right now, because that's just not realistic. We're not going to beat
100%.
a lot. The AFC is too loaded. Like we're not going to beat this Broncos, Chargers, Chiefs, Browns maybe if they get Watson, like
Bills,
Josh Allen with the Bills, Mac Jones with the Patriots. Like we're not going to beat these teams with Jimmy G, and we go for it. So
I'm with you there. Like I get the 2-year hangover, but it's putting a lot of pressure on hitting your next QB because you are going to have to start paying some pieces in the next couple of years.
Yeah. But like on top of that, isn't Jimmy G isn't a free agent technically? Like
no,
the Niners
trade value is not high right now, from what I've heard.
But he's still going to cost like a second rounder minimum.
I was going to say probably a second rounder.
Yeah, and like I don't know, if you're not going to go for it this year, you might as well just get Trubisky for free for 2 years.
Yeah. I think it tells us a lot about how the Steelers feel about their team. I guess it's a 2-year layover.
Yeah, I think it's the right move, honestly. They have so many issues like even defensively. On defense, like they're not a bad defense, but they have a lot of issues there, especially in the secondary right now. Devin Bush,
not a lot.
Dude, it's not like a good situation to be in, though.
Dude, we could use another corner. We don't have a lot of issues, bro. We're still a top 10 defense.
Bro, linebacker issues, bro.
No, we don't. We're fine at linebacker, bro. And let's be honest.
Outside of TJ, like, I don't know.
TJ's not even really a linebacker. He's an edge.
He's technically an outside linebacker.
Not Aaron Donald.
Outside linebacker and defensive end is more are similar. Inside linebacker and outside linebacker have no correlation. Just because TJ Watt drop backs in coverage like 2 times a game, you cannot compare him and an inside linebacker. Like you're never gonna have him in the middle of the field roaming around. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Oh, that's a way to use TJ
did.
Watt
He
talent.
did.
That was
Yeah.
middle
Okay,
of it.
but like in terms of like O-line, and like honestly scheme, offensive scheme, it just all needs to restructure as a whole.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Anyways, with that, let's segue into the next topic. Let's talk a little bit of Tom Brady. I think he shocked the world coming out of retirement. Let's hear your thoughts.
The Bucks are instant contenders again. And like, I don't know. It was kind of weird that Brady retired last year because I thought, he was definitely not on the he had an amazing season statistically, and he didn't look washed at all. At best, like I thought, or at most, I thought, okay, maybe he might retire the next year. But I just think the Bucks are safe. They're like their season is safe. Like imagine if they didn't have Tom Brady, they'd be in such a bad position. They'd be desperate for a quarterback. They might be the ones trading for Trubisky, or not trading for Trubisky, signing Trubisky if Tom Brady didn't return. It just it balances the AFC and NFC out. Like if Tom Brady left, it would have just been the Rams in the NFC, honestly.
Oh, come on. Just the Rams?
I mean, essentially.
No.
Like, who else are you taking over?
Packers? You don't think
No.
Packers?
No.
They don't have a chance. Niners don't have a chance.
They got worse. The Packers got worse.
Packers have a chance. They have it because they still have.
Packers are not getting worse. Packers are
they got worse.
Dude, what?
Devontae Adams is not back for them this next year unless they reach a deal, apparently.
They're gonna resign him. They're gonna get Jair Alexander back, who they didn't have last year.
Okay,
and
cool.
They're gonna draft.
They lost their best pass rusher, Zadarius Smith, by the way. Rodgers is getting paid. What was it? 50, 60 million per
49, 59, 51.
Yeah. And
okay, the Rams could get a lot worse if they lose Von Miller and Whitworth retired.
Okay, sure. But it doesn't look like Von Miller's going to leave now because of the Randy Gregory signing from the Broncos. And like the Rams just signed their entire O-line back. And like Whitworth is a tough loss, but like in that Bucks game, Joe Noteboom was amazing. He had almost a flawless game at left tackle. So I don't know. I think the Rams are fine. And you're getting Robert Woods back.
Only team in the NFC? Come on, bro.
I mean, like, who else is there? Like a legit contender outside of Tampa Bay.
I'm kind of with Isaac.
Packers, Niners.
The Niners are not a legit team. Are you serious?
I don't know. Niners are going to be legit.
Trey Lance's first year as a starter. I don't know if they're like at the same level. They could be, but
they're gonna have to completely change how they play.
If you believe in the Cowboys, you're a clown.
Yeah, no chance. And
then Packers, you always have a chance with Aaron Rodgers, but also like Aaron Rodgers has been struggling the last 8 years in the playoffs. So
yeah, and
like, I mean, who would I trust more if they played
Packers
each other?
roster didn't get better. And the Vikings just signed Kirk Cousins to a $35 million extension, of course.
It's not that bad of a signing. I don't think so.
Okay, but they didn't get better. Like, they're the same team.
But
the Saints, I mean, come on. Unless Deshaun Watson goes to the
Eagles could be good. I think the Eagles could be pretty good next year. Because
they can like beating the Rams, or they're not even the same tier.
Yeah, no. But like, watch out for the Eagles in like 2 years. But
Jalen Hurts can.
I would not
ass, bro. He's not good.
No, he's solid. But like,
yeah, Hurts has upside. I like his upside,
dude.
No, Hurts. I think Hurts. I think Hurts can like develop into like. This might sound crazy, but like Dak Prescott level, like. But then again, I don't think that highly Dak Prescott.
Good. But
I find Dak Prescott to be more like a really good game manager in a way, whereas I could see Jalen Hurts almost, I don't want to say Lamar, but that's the first person who pops in my head, like a really versatile QB, maybe even like a Kyler or like a young Russell.
Jalen Hurts is not the runner that Lamar Jackson. Are you serious?
He led his team in rushing yards by far. I can't remember the exact numbers, but
sure, statistically, okay.
Yeah.
If you look at the eye test, he is not. If you use the eye test, he's not nearly the runner that Lamar Jackson. It's not even.
They're different running styles. Yeah, they're different,
and also the Eagles, the way they run is different than the way
be the quarterback for a Super Bowl team. You know, Jalen Hurts cannot be your Super Bowl QB.
I think you can under a rookie
develop
contract.
for
Yeah,
sure.
I think under a rookie contract, they have 3 first-round picks this year. Dude, the roster's going to be loaded in 2 years. They have 3 first-round picks. I think, like, they're going to have a boatload of money because Jalen Hurts is a second-round pick on a rookie contract. They can totally rebuild this roster in 2 years.
Jalen Hurts under center will get you. Okay, but we also have to consider that they play in the NFC East. Like,
and he can grow. Like
every year, they'll be a borderline playoff team in the NFC every year.
No, not in 2 years. In 2 years, they'll be the best team in the NFC East by far.
I don't know about that.
They can be. They got to hit their picks, and Jalen Hurts has to be the guy. I think
they got to draft a quarterback. Like, I would not look to bring in Jalen Hurts 2 years from now, unless he's proven to be a franchise quarterback by next year, which
Jalen Hurts is good.
highly doubt.
His arm is solid, and the way the Eagles
No. He has a below average arm. He cannot throw. He's improved.
Dude,
but he's
a better thrower.
Cannot throw. Dude,
no.
He can throw.
He can't.
Can't. Okay. Not everyone has to have elite arm talent, bro. I don't think he. Like,
okay, but if you're the Eagles franchise, you're trying to get an elite quarterback. Your fan base. You're telling me they're going to settle with Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, Jalen Hurts.
I mean, they won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles.
I mean, Nick Foles can. Okay, but like, I don't know. Sure, I guess, but it's like a once in a lifetime sort of Super Bowl too. On top of that.
No, it's not. It's not. That's a legit Super Bowl.
Yeah,
because the year after they could have won it too. If Alshon Jeffrey,
like Nick Foles was a good quarterback,
they could go back.
Huh? Nick Foles was a decent quarterback.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts can't be decent.
He can't throw like him.
Dude, it was his first full year as a starter last year. You're not going to give him any time to develop.
No. Okay, I'll give him one more year, and if he's not a franchise quarterback, personally, I will move on from him, and I'll try to draft a quarterback in the next draft. And like you said, it's supposed to be an elite quarterback draft. Might as well draft a quarterback then.
Okay, yeah, of course.
Build around Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I agree to that to some extent. Yeah, I do agree to that to some extent. But then again, it's like also it's like I would like argue the same thing for guys like Derek Carr, who are good, like who are great starting quarterbacks in the NFL. But like,
Derek Carr can actually be a quarterback in a Super Bowl team.
Yeah, but got paid Derek Carr like elite money. It's the same argument for Kirk Cousins. It's the same argument for Dak Prescott. Same argument for Jimmy G. Like, you got to pay this solid quarterback elite money.
Sure. But
yeah, I don't know. I think you're underrating Jalen Hurts a bit. I love his upside. I think he's a great runner.
You love it?
His upside, absolutely. He's a great runner.
I don't know about love.
Where would you?
Well, I think Jalen Hurts.
Best case scenario. Where would you say he is in like QB rankings?
Best case scenario.
Absolute best case scenario.
So just like, let's say he just smashes across the board and explodes to like what I think is like max capability.
Yeah. What do you think is his max ranking?
I think he'd be a top 10 quarterback in the league. He has the physical talent to do so.
Top 10?
Yeah. He has that upside.
I say like
at best he's like 15. Maybe like
splitting hairs there. No, you said just based off upside. If you're asking me upside, I think he can be a top 10 quarterback in this league.
Yeah, but you're also gonna realize, Matt, upside is not necessarily like physical talent. Usually upside is arm talent.
I know.
That's the issue with the NFL.
But I don't mind I think his arm is, I don't want to say underrated, but I'm just going to say underrated. Like, I've watched enough Eagles games. Like, he doesn't hit the difficult throws, but he hits the throws he needs to make. And he has a lot of room to improve. If he improves to that level, he can reach that level.
But like,
yeah, I do agree with that.
He doesn't, it's below average arm, and you need a throw.
I mean, it's not like you don't always have to throw like 80-yard bombs through double coverage, It's not
that. It's just, I'm talking about like zipping it in between I don't know, like two linebackers. Like
I
he
mean,
can't
that's
do that.
honestly overrated because, like, if you really look at like history, like Brady and Peyton never really zipped the ball. Like, they were always fine.
No, Brady
Okay,
can
I don't know
reach the
about
ball.
that, bro.
Brady can. He's like, isn't he? Doesn't he have the quickest release in NFL history?
No,
Something like that.
Brady, no. Peyton, I think so. No,
Okay.
Peyton's whole career was a quick release with a floater. Like, he always threw it high and let the ball drop.
Yeah, but you have to
Okay.
be accurate to do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Jalen Hurts doesn't have the arm strength to
He
do
can
that.
make the throws he needs to make.
But here's the thing, Isaac. Because he's a threat as a runner, he doesn't need to make those throws because the linebackers who are in coverage have to spy on him. So he doesn't have to make those throws.
Okay, but that's not necessarily sustainable for an entire game when you play an elite team.
I mean,
It's just the roster has to be elite. That's what I'm saying, which I think it can be.
that's fair.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it can. It can. They definitely have a lot of like draft capital. Don't they have a lot of cap space too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're
They're
set.
not paying anyone. Like, they're all young.
I would move off of Jalen Hurts personally.
You got to give him a year. Can't just
Okay,
move off
I
the
give
bat.
him one more year too, but I don't know. I would prepare for the next quarterback.
Anyways, I guess with that, we can wrap things up here. Thank you so much for listening. We just went over the big points in NFL free agency for this week. Stay tuned on our social media as well as our TikTok and Instagram. And just make sure to follow us. And next Wednesday will be the next episode. You guys want to say anything?
Yeah, thanks for listening. Watch out for that top 50 NBA players list that I'm doing. I'm just gonna be uploading every couple days or so, just of the top 50 players in the league. So just watch out for that on TikTok. Yeah. Alex, you got anything else to say?
Shout out MVP Nickelodeon Most Valuable Player Mitchell Trubisky.
All right, awesome. See y'all next week.